Captain Alara Voss stood at the command center of the Chronospire, her gaze fixed on the massive holographic display that flickered with data. The room buzzed with quiet intensity, a symphony of muted conversations and the soft hum of quantum processors. She glanced over at Lieutenant Orion Kane, who was buried in a console, fingers dancing across the interface like a pianist composing a masterpiece. "Orion," Alara called, her voice cutting through the controlled chaos. "What's our status on the temporal rift near Vega?" Orion looked up, a smirk playing on his lips. "Still as unpredictable as ever, but I've managed to stabilize its core readings. We can slip through without turning into a paradoxical pretzel." Alara chuckled, a rare moment of levity in the high-stakes world they inhabited. "Good, last thing we need is to become our own ancestors." Orion's eyes twinkled with mischief, "Though I'd make a dashing great-grandfather." The banter between them was familiar, comforting even. Yet beneath it lay the weight of countless missions and the unspoken understanding of what was at stake. "Focus, Orion," Alara said, returning to the task at hand. "We need to ensure that no one else can exploit this anomaly." He nodded, his demeanor shifting to seriousness. "Agreed. I've set up a containment field. It'll hold unless someone with our level of tech tries to breach it." "Let's hope they don't," Alara replied, scanning the data streams. Her mind wandered briefly to her brother lost in a similar rift years ago. The thought was like a splinter in her consciousness, persistent, painful. Orion seemed to sense her distraction. "You okay?" he asked quietly. She hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, just thinking." He leaned back in his chair, studying her with a mix of concern and curiosity. "About him?" Alara sighed, the admission heavy on her tongue. "Always." Orion reached out, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll find him, Alara. And when we do, you'll have to deal with all those awkward 'where have you been' questions." She smiled despite herself. "You're assuming he'll recognize me after all this time." "He will," Orion said confidently. "Family bonds aren't so easily severed, not even by time." Their moment was interrupted by the sudden chirp of an incoming transmission. Alara straightened, all business again. "Patch it through," she ordered. The face of Admiral Jackson appeared on the screen, his expression as stern as ever. "Captain Voss," he began without preamble, "we've received intelligence suggesting an imminent incursion by rival factions near your current position." Alara's eyes narrowed. "Any specifics, sir?" "Only that they're targeting the Vega Rift," Jackson replied. "Your orders are to secure it at all costs." "Understood," she said crisply. The transmission ended, leaving a silence that felt both oppressive and charged with potential. "Looks like we're not the only ones interested in that rift," Orion commented. "No surprise there," Alara replied, already formulating a strategy in her mind. "We need to move fast. Prep the Sentinels for deployment." Orion nodded and got to work, his fingers once again flying over the console. As Alara watched him, she felt a surge of gratitude for his presence. Despite his occasional insubordination and penchant for challenging authority, Orion was steadfast and brilliant, a linchpin in their operations. "Alara," he called out without looking up, "you know I'm with you on this, right? Whatever it takes." She met his gaze, seeing the sincerity there. "I know," she said softly, "and it means more than you can imagine." With that, she turned back to the holographic display, her mind focused on the task ahead. The quantum war demanded their utmost precision and resolve. There was no room for error or hesitation. As the Chrono Sentinels prepared for their next mission, Alara felt the familiar mix of anticipation and dread settle over her like an old cloak. The stakes were higher than ever. A single misstep could unravel the very fabric of reality. But she was ready. They all were. The quantum war was relentless, echoing through time with its demands and consequences. Yet amidst the chaos and uncertainty, Alara found strength in her team and purpose in their mission. And as they set course for Vega, she knew that every decision they made would ripple across time itself, shaping destinies and forging new paths in the vast tapestry of the universe. The journey had only just begun. Captain Alara Voss stood in the command center of the Chronospire, her eyes fixed on the sprawling holographic display that dominated the room. The air was charged with anticipation, each officer at their station a cog in the intricate machinery of temporal warfare. She turned to Lieutenant Orion Kane, who was intently studying a cluster of quantum fluctuations that danced across the hologram like a swarm of fireflies. Orion, Alara said, breaking the silence. What do you make of this anomaly near the Andromeda Rift? Orion pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose, his expression a mix of excitement and concern. It's unusual, Captain. The readings suggest a temporal distortion that's more stable than we've seen before, almost as if it's been fortified. Alara's brow furrowed. Fortified? By whom? That's the question, isn't it? Orion replied, his voice tinged with curiosity. It could be one of our rivals or something entirely new. Alara nodded, her mind racing through possibilities. The Quantum War was a game of shadows and whispers, each faction vying for control over time itself. A fortified rift could mean anything from a hidden base to an experimental weapon. We need eyes on it, Alara decided, her voice firm. Assemble a recon team. I want to know what we're dealing with before we send in the cavalry. Orion grinned, already moving towards his console. On it, Captain. I'll have the team ready in no time. As he worked, Alara allowed herself a moment to watch him. Orion was brilliant, no doubt about it. His unconventional approach to quantum mechanics often led them to solutions others would overlook. But his penchant for questioning authority, hers included, sometimes put them at odds. She approached him quietly, her tone softening. Orion, I need you focused on this mission. If there's any chance my brother... Orion paused, meeting her gaze with understanding. I know, Alara. We'll find out what's going on there. And if there's even a hint about your brother's whereabouts, we'll follow it. The mention of her brother was a raw nerve, one she rarely exposed. But with Orion, there was a level of trust that allowed for vulnerability, a rarity in their line of work. Thank you, she said simply. He nodded, returning to his preparations with renewed vigor. Later in the hangar bay, Alara and Orion joined their team of Chrono Sentinels as they boarded the sleek reconnaissance vessel. The ship hummed with latent energy, its quantum drives ready to slip through time as easily as space. As they settled into their seats, Orion leaned over to Alara. So what's the plan when we get there? Sneak in undetected and hope they don't notice the temporal signatures? Alara smirked. Something like that. Stealth is our best friend right now. The ship shuddered as it disengaged from the Chrono Spire and glided into the vastness of space. Outside the viewport, nebulae bloomed against the dark canvas of the universe, a reminder of both beauty and danger. Their journey was swift, the quantum drives propelling them through folds of reality until they emerged near the Andromeda Rift. As they approached the anomaly, Alara felt a familiar tension settle over her, a mix of anticipation and dread. Entering visual range now, Orion announced, his hands deftly navigating the controls. The rift loomed ahead, an ethereal tear glowing with an eerie luminescence. It pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat echoing across time and space. Scans are picking up something, Orion said, eyes flicking over the data streaming across his console. There's definitely some sort of structure within the rift. Alara leaned forward, studying the readings with a keen eye. A base? Or perhaps a research facility? Could be either, Orion replied. But whatever it is, it's sophisticated. Alara's mind raced with possibilities and contingencies. If this was indeed an enemy installation, they needed to act quickly and decisively. Let's get closer, she ordered. We need more intel before making any decisions. The vessel edged towards the rift, sensors probing deeper into its depths. Each moment stretched taut with potential danger. Suddenly, alarms blared through the cabin as the ship shuddered violently. We've been detected! Orion shouted over the din. They're trying to lock onto us. Brace for evasive maneuvers, Alara commanded, gripping her seat as the ship lurched into action. The pilot wove through space with expert precision, dodging bursts of energy that crackled through the void like lightning strikes. Orion worked frantically at his console, fingers flying over keys as he attempted to counteract their pursuers' efforts. They're good, he muttered under his breath. Too good. Alara's jaw clenched as she assessed their options. They couldn't risk losing their only reconnaissance vessel, not without gathering more information. Orion, she called out amidst the chaos, can you isolate their signal? Find out who's behind this? I'm trying, he replied tersely. The ship bucked again as another volley narrowly missed them. Finally, Orion let out a triumphant shout. Got it! It's not who we thought. Alara's heart skipped a beat at his words. What do you mean? It's not one of our usual suspects, he explained quickly. This signal is different, unique. She processed this revelation rapidly, even as their situation grew more precarious by the second. "We need to retreat," she decided swiftly. "We can't risk getting caught without knowing what we're up against." Orion nodded in agreement as he relayed her orders to the pilot. The ship veered sharply away from danger as they initiated their escape sequence, a calculated leap back through time-space that would take them beyond immediate threat range. As they hurtled away from danger's grasp once more, back towards safety, Alara felt both relief and frustration mingling within her chest. Relief at having escaped unscathed. Frustration at still lacking crucial answers about what lay hidden within that rift, and who might be guarding its secrets so fiercely. But one thing was clear. Whatever awaited them next would demand every ounce of cunning and courage they could muster. The chronospire hummed with its usual energy, a symphony of digital beeps and hushed conversations. Captain Alara Voss stood in the command center, eyes fixed on the massive holographic display that dominated the room. Streams of data flowed like rivers, each line a potential ripple in the fabric of time. Her mind danced through the possibilities, calculating moves like a grandmaster in an interstellar chess game. "Captain," came the voice of Lieutenant Orion Kane, breaking her concentration. He approached with his usual confident stride, a datapad tucked under one arm. "I've got something you need to see." Alara turned, a slight furrow in her brow. "What is it, Orion?" He handed her the datapad. "A new anomaly just appeared near the Helix Nebula. It's unlike anything we've encountered before. Its quantum signature suggests it's been deliberately manipulated." She took the device, scanning the data. "Deliberately? By whom?" "That's the question," he replied, leaning against a console. "The signature matches known patterns from the Coalition archives, but there's an overlay, something new. Could be a rival faction testing new tech." Alara's eyes narrowed as she processed the implications. "Or it could be someone from our side playing a dangerous game." Orion nodded, his expression serious. "Either way, we need to investigate." Agreed. She handed back the datapad and crossed her arms, considering their options. "Assemble the team. We need to move fast before this anomaly destabilizes." Orion hesitated, his gaze lingering on Alara. "Are you sure you're ready for this? I know things have been tense lately." Alara met his eyes, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "I don't have the luxury of waiting until I'm ready. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about the timeline. And if there's even a chance my brother's involved." His expression softened. "I understand. But remember, Alara, you're not alone in this." She offered a brief nod, appreciating his support more than words could convey. Together, they left the command center, stepping into the corridor where their team awaited. The Chrono Sentinels were a diverse group, each member hand-picked for their unique skills and unwavering loyalty. As Alara and Orion entered, conversation ceased, and all eyes turned to them. "Listen up," Alara began, her voice carrying the authority of a seasoned leader. "We've got a new mission. An anomaly near the Helix Nebula that demands our immediate attention. This isn't a routine operation. It's potentially hostile and highly unpredictable." One of the team members, a sharp-eyed woman named Zara Lynn, raised her hand. "What's our objective?" Orion stepped forward, addressing them with his characteristic blend of enthusiasm and caution. "Primary objective is to stabilize the anomaly and gather intel on its origin. Secondary is to determine if there's any link to previous temporal disruptions." Zara nodded, understanding the stakes. The team exchanged glances, a silent agreement passing between them. Alara continued, "We'll be departing within the hour. Check your gear and run diagnostics on your quantum drives. I want everything functioning at peak efficiency." As the Sentinels dispersed to prepare, Orion lingered by Alara's side. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Do you ever wonder what it would be like if we weren't constantly saving reality?" Alara chuckled softly, a rare moment of levity amidst the gravity of their duties. "I'd probably get bored." Orion grinned, shaking his head. "You really are something else, Captain." They shared a brief moment of camaraderie before returning to their preparations. Within the hour, the Chrono Sentinels were aboard their sleek vessel, the Quantum Hawk, hurtling through space towards their destination. The ship cut through the void with precision, its quantum drive humming with power. In the cockpit, Alara sat at the helm while Orion monitored their trajectory from an adjacent console. The rest of the team occupied various stations throughout the vessel, each member focused on their role. As they neared the Helix Nebula, an eerie luminescence bathed the ship in hues of blue and green, a cosmic tapestry that belied the danger lurking within. Approaching anomaly, Orion reported, his fingers dancing over holographic controls. Alara's gaze remained fixed on the viewport, steady as she goes. The Quantum Hawk glided into position, sensors probing the anomaly's depths. On-screen displays flickered with streams of data, painting a picture of chaos barely contained by reality's fragile threads. "Captain," Orion said quietly, "I'm picking up faint readings from within the anomaly, possibly a vessel or structure." Alara's heart skipped a beat. Could it be? Her brother's name echoed in her mind like a distant call across time. "Prepare for incursion," she ordered, her resolve hardening like tempered steel. "We need to get inside and find out what's going on." With practiced precision, the Sentinels executed their maneuvers. The Quantum Hawk slipped through the anomaly's threshold, enveloped by its shimmering veil. Inside was a realm of swirling energies and shifting landscapes, a kaleidoscope where past and future collided in a dance of light and shadow. Orion's voice crackled over comms. "Readings are unstable. Proceed with caution." Alara acknowledged him as they navigated deeper into this temporal maelstrom. Every second felt stretched and compressed simultaneously, a sensation both exhilarating and disorienting. Suddenly, alarms blared across consoles as an unknown force tugged at their ship, a gravitational pull threatening to tear them apart. "Stabilizers failing!" Zara shouted from engineering. "Hold steady!" Alara commanded, hands gripping controls with white-knuckled determination. Orion worked furiously beside her, recalibrating systems with rapid-fire adjustments. "I'm rerouting power! Hang on!" The ship shuddered violently before finding equilibrium once more, a testament to their skillful teamwork under pressure. As calm returned to Chaos Edge, Alara glanced at Orion with gratitude unspoken yet understood between them. Trust forged through trials shared against impossible odds. Their journey continued into this realm where betrayal echoed louder than truth, where answers lay hidden amid echoes that whispered promises unfulfilled. And as they pressed onward towards destiny's uncertain embrace, their bond strengthened against adversity's relentless tide. They knew only together could they face what awaited beyond tomorrow's horizon. The Chronospire was alive with the hum of activity, its corridors buzzing like the neural pathways of a living brain. Captain Alara Voss moved through them with purpose, her mind a symphony of calculations and contingencies. As she entered the command center, the holographic display flickered to life, illuminating the room in a kaleidoscope of shifting data. Temporal anomalies danced across the screen like phantom chess pieces, each one a potential threat to the fabric of reality. Lieutenant Orion Kane was already there, his eyes glued to a console displaying a particularly volatile rift. "Morning, Captain," he said without looking up. His fingers danced over the interface, pulling up streams of data that flowed like water down a mountainside. "Good morning, Lieutenant," Alara replied, her voice tinged with the authority that came naturally to her. "What have we got?" Orion leaned back, rubbing his temples as if trying to massage the answer from his mind. "There's an anomaly near the Andromeda sector. It's peculiar. The energy readings suggest it's not just a tear, but something more, like it's being manipulated." Alara's eyes narrowed. Manipulated by whom? That's the question, isn't it? Orion's gaze met hers, a flicker of mischief dancing in his eyes despite the gravity of their discussion. Could be any number of factions, or someone new altogether. She considered this for a moment, her mind racing through possibilities and protocols. "Prepare the team for a briefing in an hour. I want all available data on that anomaly." Orion nodded, already lost in thought as he returned to his console. "On it, Captain." As Alara left the command center, her thoughts drifted to her brother, a memory always at the edges of her consciousness, like a shadow in peripheral vision. She wondered if he was out there somewhere, trapped in one of these anomalies. The possibility was both haunting and motivating. The briefing room was a stark contrast to the bustling corridors outside. Here, silence reigned, interrupted only by the occasional beep of a console or shuffle of papers. Alara stood at the head of the table, her team assembled before her like soldiers awaiting orders. "We have a new mission," she began, her voice cutting through the quiet like a blade. An anomaly near Andromeda is exhibiting signs of manipulation. Our job is to investigate and neutralize any threat. Lieutenant Kane took over, his technical expertise lending weight to the information he presented. The energy signatures are unlike anything we've seen before. If someone's controlling this rift, they're either highly advanced or recklessly dangerous. A murmur ran through the team, a mix of excitement and apprehension. Alara watched them closely, gauging their reactions. They were good people, smart, capable, and fiercely loyal, but even they had limits. "Questions?" she asked, opening the floor. Sergeant Mira Chen raised her hand, her expression thoughtful. "Do we have any intel on who might be behind this?" Alara shook her head. "Not yet. That's part of our mission, to find out who's pulling the strings." The briefing continued with discussions on tactics and logistics, every detail scrutinized under Alara's watchful eye. By the time it concluded, the team was ready, focused and determined. As they dispersed to prepare for departure, Orion lingered behind, his brow furrowed with thought. "Alara," he said quietly once they were alone. She turned to him, sensing the weight behind his words. "What is it?" He hesitated for a moment before speaking, his voice low and measured. "This anomaly, it feels different. We need to consider what we're really doing here, altering history or preserving it." Alara met his gaze, understanding the unspoken question beneath his words. Was her personal quest clouding her judgment? She sighed, feeling the familiar tug of conflicting duties within her. "I know what you're getting at, Orion," she said softly, "and I appreciate your concern, but I have to believe we're doing what's right." He nodded slowly, accepting her answer for now. "Just keep it in mind." With that, they parted ways, each carrying their own burdens into the unknown. Hours later, the Chrono Sentinel's ship slipped into space with a whisper of engines and a flash of light. The vast expanse unfolded before them, a sea of stars stretching into infinity. Inside the ship's control room, Alara sat at the helm, Orion beside her as they navigated toward their destination. The rest of the team worked around them with practiced efficiency, their movements synchronized like gears in a well-oiled machine. "Approaching coordinates," Orion announced, his eyes scanning the readouts before him. Alara nodded, her focus unwavering as she prepared for what lay ahead. "Engage quantum drive." The ship shuddered slightly as it entered the anomaly's field, a sensation like stepping through a waterfall of static electricity. "Steady," Alara murmured, feeling the tension rise within her crew. They were entering uncharted territory now, a place where time itself might bend and break around them. As they drew closer to the anomaly's heart, strange images flickered across their screens, glimpses of other times and places superimposed upon their own reality. "Is this normal?" Mira asked from her station at navigation. Orion shook his head slowly. "No, it's something else entirely." Alara's pulse quickened as she studied these visions, fragments of history passing by like ghostly echoes trapped within this temporal maelstrom. And then she saw him, her brother's face appearing briefly amidst those fleeting images, a specter from another life reaching out across time itself. Her heart skipped a beat as hope surged within her, a fierce flame burning brighter than any fear or doubt could extinguish. "Did you see that?" she asked breathlessly. Orion glanced at her sharply, understanding dawning upon him even as uncertainty clouded his features once more. "I did," he replied carefully, acknowledging both possibility and peril entwined within this moment. They shared an unspoken promise then, to find answers together no matter what dangers awaited them ahead, to unravel mysteries woven deep within these echoes of war echoing across time itself. And so they plunged onward into unknown depths, driven by duty yet guided by desire, forging paths through chaos toward truths hidden beyond reach, yet ever closer with each step taken forward.